super happy to have you here, and welcome to everyone who is joining us. Welcome back too if you've joined us for some previous episodes. I always like to start the show asking where everyone's from, so let us know in the chat where you are joining us from. It's always fun and exciting to see where people are building their entrepreneurial dreams or businesses. So yeah, let us know in the chat where you are from. And for anyone who is brand new to the Real Talk show, essentially what we do is every single Monday we talk about some kind of topic related to optimizing your business. So any ways to 10x your business, whether it's productivity tips or ways to design your store, whatever it might be, each week is ever changing. So that's just a little bit about what we do each week. So yeah, super excited to have everybody here today. And like I said, thank you so much, Mel, for joining us. And to just kind of hop into the show, why don't you tell us a little bit about you, and just so our viewers can get to know you a little bit.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here. I've worked for Shopify for about 2 years now, and Oberlo. I had a dropshipping store with Oberlo for 2 years doing kids clothing. And before I worked at Shopify, I was actually an influencer and content creator on YouTube and Instagram. And yeah, so I am have a lot of experience with dropshipping and with e-commerce and marketing and all that stuff.
Oh, that's so cool. Honestly, I feel like just having that experience of running your own store and then being an influencer yourself beforehand, like, yeah, you guys are in for a treat for sure. Today's going to be a really fun show. um, and a little bit about me, anyone who's joined the show before, you've heard this spiel already, but I've been with Shopify and Oberlo for over 5 years now. So I've definitely seen a wide variety of different kinds of e-commerce businesses, what's worked, what hasn't worked. So yeah, I mean, I think both of our perspective will be an interesting one for sure to share throughout the shows. So yeah, a little bit about me. Before we hop into the topic of today, I'll just go through a really quick outline. So we're going to be covering influencer marketing. Specifically, we're going to be targeting both Instagram and TikTok and how they differ. So how to use them, how to find influencers, all that good stuff. We're going to finish off the show as always by doing a hot tip and a toolbox section. So hot tip is some kind of a, might be like a marketing resource or tip or a success story, whatever it might be. In toolbox is usually like an app or a podcast or some kind of interesting platform. So yeah, we'll share that at the end of the show. Just as a reminder, as always, leave us any questions in the chat. We'll definitely be trying to keep an eye on it, and we have someone answering questions there too. So yeah, feel free to just comment anything in the chat. And it's so exciting to see we've got a bunch of people joining us today. We've got in Pakistan, the US, California. So cool. I love it. It's always, I mean, our shows are for all of you. So it's always just so fun to see who's joining us and where you're all from. So yeah, definitely leave us questions in the chat. And as a reminder, it's recorded, so you can always go back and rewatch the show. Don't stress about having to, take a bunch of notes right away. So, all right, let's hop right into it. So as mentioned, the topic of discussion today is influencer marketing. So how to generate targeted, high converting traffic to your store. We are going to cover both the topics of Instagram and TikTok specifically, and a little bit about how they differ. So to break it down into, I think we're going to do about 6 different steps. We're going to talk about the difference between the two, how to actually find influencers, determining who is a good influencer on both platforms, how to actually create content that you want to share and use with these influencers, and then how to contact them. And then the last thing we're going to cover is how to actually get some sales without actually spending money on paying influencers. So usually you do want to pay an influencer, but we'll go through one option you can explore, which might work in some cases. So that's kind of the general flow of today and what we'll be chatting about. At the very end of the show too, we're going to leave you a cheat sheet with 5 products that are interesting that you might be able to sell on TikTok. So stick around to the end and we'll link you that in the chat. So yeah, let's get started. So to get the ball rolling, Mel, why don't you tell us a little bit about the difference between Instagram and TikTok?
Yeah, so Instagram has been around a lot longer than TikTok. It's basically more of a curated platform where you can post beautiful photos or videos. And recently, they let you actually create even longer videos. So you can put a full video tutorial of a product or a full demonstration. There's no time limit at all. Whereas TikTok, it's between 15 seconds and 60 seconds that you can create a video, and it's more organic. It's not as a produced platform. So you kind of it's kind of more like on the fly content that you create, something that might have just happened, like very organic. Where
Right.
on Instagram, it's more produced. You set up a shot, a photo shoot, maybe create a video where you have it all planned out. They're very different platforms, but they're very good for their own audiences.
Yeah.
TikTok tends to be a bit younger. So when you're putting products on TikTok, you want to consider the audience that you'll be finding on TikTok. Instagram tends to be all generations, from like teenagers all the way up to the older generations. So you can find an audience on Instagram for sure for basically any product. Instagram, you have a bit more freedom when in terms of product selection and content, while on TikTok, your influencers will have less options. Nonetheless, as we will go in today's stream, you'll see that this might be an advantage and not a disadvantage.
Awesome. Yeah, I love that. And I think it's so important to keep that in the back of mind, depending on your products, what kind of products you're selling and which might be best. Because like you mentioned, TikTok is that younger audience. So you probably don't want to be marketing like really expensive products on TikTok because they might not have that budget to spend. So yeah, it's definitely something important to keep in mind. Both platforms are interesting in their own ways. And like you said too, Instagram is more like heavy editing, professional versions of your content. You have a lot more creative control because maybe you're providing that, versus TikTok is just like raw content, very unfiltered, which can be really great too, because maybe viewers would feel less like targeted into buying things because it just feels more like authentic in a way. Yeah. Cool. And yeah, and I mean, one thing too to mention, I was just going to mention really quickly, is that TikTok influencers, I guess because it's kind of a newer platform, and I love your thoughts on this too, it seems like, there's maybe not as many like celebrity TikTokers, or because it's very new, it might be easier to contact and work with them, just because,
100%.
Yeah, it's kind of a newer one. So you maybe have a better chance at having cheaper budgets for advertising and content because they are kind of newer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Okay, awesome. Well, let's hop into the next one, which is how to actually find influencers on Instagram and TikTok. So why don't you break it down, how to find influencers on Instagram specifically to start?
Yeah, so on Instagram, it's really easy. You just use the search field, search for any pages, not people. So you don't want to be searching for actual influencers' names or anything like that. You can search for hashtags. You can search for locations. And that might be related to your niche. So for example, if you're selling like a hair product, you can search for any hashtag that relates to hair, something like that. You can use the arrow button to get more suggestions on different pages or people that might be similar to what you've already found. It's really straightforward. So again, if you have a niche for your specific product that you're going to be marketing, then you just want to find those hashtags that work for your niche. So again, with hair, you'd search for hair hashtags, makeup hashtags, gadgets, things like that. And then by clicking through those hashtags, you can see the highest viewed content or highest likes content with a large reach. And then also you'll find the specific influencers or content creators that have an audience that use those products that are falling within that hashtag.
Awesome. That's awesome. That's perfect. And I think we're going to mention as well too, maybe some apps you could use to find some influencers too. So we'll mention that probably maybe near the end of the show. But that's great. And I think TikTok is quite similar in the sense too that you are using the search field. to find, influencers or whoever it might be. So yeah, I mean, it's quite similar to, both platforms in that sense. What I would even do is, when it comes to finding them, like with Instagram or TikTok, is just have like a Google spreadsheet or some kind of a note and keep track of all the handles of accounts that you might be interested in. That way you have something you can refer back to at a later point, or maybe if there's certain influencers you want to work with one product and then in the future someone else. It's just good to keep that in mind. So definitely just keep a spreadsheet. So yeah, you can use a search field. You can use hashtags as well. So same thing, like maybe you're looking for hashtags within your niche, like dogs, homework, I don't know, whatever it might be, depending on the products you're selling. So very similar process. And I do believe with TikTok, you can search using keywords, but also by location too. So by city, country, or any location in general. So sometimes that can help. And just as a quick note as well too, something I always like to do when I'm trying to decide on a product to sell or what region to target, you can use something called Google Trends, and type in your product name or whatever it might be and just see what areas in the world is that product most searched for. So that might help in narrowing down if you are looking for influencers within a certain region or location. You could say like, oh, okay, this product seems to be being searched a lot in X location, so maybe I'll try and find some in that area too if they have a following within that area. So yeah, just something to keep in mind. So very similar process. Keep that spreadsheet, keep it well organized, and then that way, you have a good list of influencers you can come back to and look at. So that's it for how to actually find influencers. The third section is how to determine a good influencer. So a really important part of the process is making sure you're working with influencers that are actually going to make like an impact and are worth spending a budget on. So yeah, why don't you hop right into Instagram and tell us a little bit about how to find a good influencers there.
So when looking for an influencer, you want to make sure that the person has a wide audience. You want to make sure that their content and their audience is actually engaging with them. If you find that someone has a lot of followers, like let's say they have 100,000 followers, but they only have a couple hundred likes on their posts or maybe not a lot of comments, then that person's audience might not be organic. And even so they might have a lot of comments, but those comments might seem very copy and pasted, like, that's great, cool pick, things like that. That's going to want to be a red flag for you. That being said, there are way more good influencers than there are the influencers that are faking it. So when you find a good influencer that you want to work with, always make sure to go through their comments and their likes. You can even reach out to them and ask them if you can see a screenshot of their analytics. That will show you their audience, where their audience is located. So if you are marketing your products to customers in the US and an influencer is in your niche, but their audience is mostly in, let's say, Europe, then that's not going to be a good fit for you. So you want to make sure that this person's audience is in your location that you're marketing to, and that they have an audience that's in your niche. You want to check their likes, their views if they have video content, how many saves they've had on their videos, the comments, how many shares they've had. It's not necessarily how many followers they have, but it's about their organic reach and how many people they reach with each of their posts. You won't be able to see all these metrics unless you can get a screenshot. So again, just reach out to them, see if you can see that information, because that'll really help you determine if they have an organic audience that you want to market to. You don't want to waste your time giving product or paying an influencer if it's not going to reach the audience that you want to reach.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that's such an important thing that I had never really thought about, but specific looking at reporting by location. So like you said, if they have great engagement and they have great reporting, but it's not to a place which you would usually be getting sales or you think you can get sales, then yeah, it's really important to dig into that. And I think as well to any influencer that does have that kind of setup where they are accepting, money to do posts, they definitely should be okay with giving you their reporting. Like it's a red flag if they're like, no, I can't give you your report. So don't be afraid to ask for that. Yeah, I love that.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I think that's a great comment too about looking at the comments itself. It's not just like, oh, they have X amount of comments. Like, what are those people saying? Are they really engaged? Are they excited? Or is it like seem kind of a little bit sketchy? So yeah, do some digging, because you are putting your money into advertising, and you may as well just do that little bit of extra research. So on TikTok specifically, some of the main criteria you're looking at for a good influencer is, again, to engagement rate. So you can check their follower count, how many views, again, looking at the comments, looking at how many likes or reactions they've gotten their content. So I think it's a little bit simpler than Instagram. Like, I don't know if there's, you can go in as much depth as Instagram, but you kind of at least get that general information of them. So, I think one thing that's important to note as well too is, because TikTok is like quick, short content, is that two kind of red flags to keep an eye out for is, one, see if they've bought followers, but the most important red flag I think is sometimes a video can go viral. Like, someone could post a video, that one video went viral, it has a bunch of views, a bunch of comments, maybe they got a bunch of followers from it, but then all of their content after that is not really getting any engagement or comments or things like that. So just keep that in mind, is that you want to have, you want to be working with someone who has a TikTok account that does have a good amount of views on, most of their videos. They have good engagement on a lot of their videos, not just like one that kind of like, went viral or whatever it might be, and then nothing else is really getting that engagement from there. So just something to keep in mind about TikTok. And I think, do you know if on TikTok too you can get reporting? Like, I'm not sure actually if there's reporting on TikTok for influencers like there is on Instagram.
Yeah, I'm not sure, because a lot of TikTok's creator content that's accessible to the influencers on there, it's only accessible to them. It's very secretive. So I don't know what reporting or anything like that they have.
Yeah. So yeah, something to keep in mind, depending on, I guess, and I mean, maybe that's the good thing about TikTok is, the ads probably will be a little bit cheaper. You're kind of maybe risking that in a sense of looking at the comments and views, but Instagram, it's going to be probably more expensive to pay for those influencers. You're going to have more creative ability to do more edited content. So it's, they're very different in their own sense, even though they're both kind of like video or whatever platforms. So number 4 is how to actually create content. So I think that's a good segue, is the difference on the kind of content you might be creating or giving to influencers. So yeah, let's hop right into Instagram.
Yeah, so this is where you want to be really creative. You can order your product to your home and then record a simple video or create some photography, some shots. You can use iMovie if you have a Mac, or Windows Movie Maker on Windows. Creating your own content for your products really sets you apart. You'll notice that AliExpress, you can find one specific product that multiple suppliers are using, and you can find that by just doing a reverse image search. So by creating your own photography, it really makes you appear as your own brand and not a drop shipper. Same with videos. Videos are so engaging, and it can really demonstrate the product and how good it is. And people don't mind paying for an unknown brand if they think that the product is absolutely amazing. Is also always make sure to create content on vertical rather than horizon. Either it's a video or an image, either it's for feed or stories. Instagram will give you a lot more space for your content with the screen. Or you can simply send the product to your influencer. So instead of sending it to yourself and creating the videos and content yourself, you can just get the influencer's address after you strike a deal and send it to them and have them create content for you. So whether that be photos, them modeling your product, creating videos. But when you're reaching out to the influencer, always make sure that you explain fully what you want them to create, because you don't want to just send them a product and they create content that you're not looking for. So make sure you figure that out beforehand with them. There's a ton of different ways to create content on Instagram, if you're going to do it yourself or if you're going to do it through the influencer. But it's really important to create your own individual content for the products.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that's the biggest difference between Instagram and TikTok, is that it is full of really creative content. It can be heavily edited and put together and really well thought out. Or it can also just be like, authentic too. Doesn't have to always be super edited on Instagram, but there's a lot more creativity that can go into Instagram, and even a lot more creativity in terms of your creative influence. If maybe you've, like you said, you've made your own content, you've taken your own pictures, you can send that to the influencer you want to work with. Versus TikTok, I think it's a little bit more simpler in the sense that, you are working with an influencer and maybe you actually want to let them be the one to create the content because it's such quick content. Usually they have their own like unique style. So I would actually suggest, in terms of TikTok, you don't want to exercise too much creative control over the content they create, because they have their own following, their own kind of niche and style. So you kind of want to allow the influencer on TikTok specifically to make their own content how they see fit based on their audience. So you do take a little bit away from your own creative control, mostly because it's not like you're putting hours editing into these TikTok videos. Plus, they probably have their own niche and style. So just something to keep in mind, especially based on the products you're selling, which way you might want to go. So yeah, I would just mention that. Again, always important, no matter what, even like Mel said, have a clear call to action or clear message on like what it is you expect from them, what it is you would want. You want to make sure that relationship is strongly built on like, this is what I'm expecting in terms of content or for you to create. Mentioning as well too, maybe I think in TikTok you can put a link in your bio, same with Instagram too. So asking for that as well too. It's important because that'll maybe shift the budget as well. And Smart Hero, I saw you said, hopefully we will see more of Mel. You definitely will. Hopefully anyway. So thank you, Mel. Like it's just so great to have some new faces and new people on our show. And yeah, Mel's got so much great content to give and chat about. So, okay, cool. So sorry, that was a side note there. But that's a little bit about TikTok and the type of content you want to create versus TikTok and Instagram and how they differ. And I think that's probably one of their biggest differences in terms of, content, but also, like we mentioned earlier, audience too. So two really important things to keep in mind. And just before we hop into the next section, I'm just curious, Mel, is there anything when you're on Instagram or TikTok that you find catches your attention when scrolling through on either? Like, I'm just curious, like what things from a customer's perspective catches your eye on either platform?
Yeah, on TikTok, I spend so much time on TikTok, it's ridiculous. So, and there's a lot of promoted content on there, like ads, and then there's also a lot of organic showing the product. And there's been so many cool products that I found on there. And honestly, just the demonstration, like the before and afters of products or the problem that is solved by using said product. Like I found this window cleaner that it's a magnetic window cleaner. You put one on one side, you put the other on the other side. So if you're in an apartment, you can clean the outside of your windows without a window washer, and I thought that was so cool. And it wasn't a paid ad. It was just someone showing off, like, look at this product before and after in like 15 seconds. And I went and bought one right away. Like it was amazing.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. I love that. And I think that's important to note too, is TikTok, it seems to be, because it is that quick content, you want to show like really unique and interesting products. And it's like, whoa, what the heck? Like just seeing that before and after, that problem solving. I love that. And I mean, for Instagram, for me, I'm like such a sucker for Instagram that usually I am like, what catches my eye is like really beautiful photos or content. And so, yeah, I think that's something to keep in mind that differs, is that not that you can't post interesting things on Instagram too, but I think TikTok is more tailored towards just like showing something before and after and an interesting product. So in terms of actually contacting influencers, so now that you have an idea of how to find them, you've got a whole spreadsheet, you've got an idea of maybe the content you might create, depending on which route you're going to go. How do you actually go about contacting an influencer on Instagram?
Yeah, so you can reach out via DM, or a lot of them have their emails posted. You want to make sure that they don't have too high of a following, because those kind of influencers get DMs every single day hundreds of times a day. So I would
Mhm.
say reach out at first if you're just starting out. Any influencer under about 75,000 followers, make sure that it's professional, it's well written. Don't just send them a message saying, hey, I have a product, can I send it to you? Make sure you tell them exactly what you're looking for, who you are, what your business is, something like very direct, like, my name's Mel. I run such and such store. I'm just wondering if you'd be interested in posting my product on your feed. I have a budget that I'm working with. So I'd appreciate if you let me know how much you would charge me to have both a post of my product and a link of my store in your bio. So very specific, letting them know directly what you're looking for and that you do have a budget. And in the same message, in the response message, if they do get back to you, you can say, hey, would you mind sending me a screenshot of your analytics? That'll help me determine a range for the budget. So just be very direct with them, very sincere, and you'll definitely get a good response.
Awesome. And I think that's important to note too, especially in that last line, like asking what their budget is to do said things as well too, because that way you're also letting them know that you're serious and you do have a budget in place to pay them for content. So yeah, just very direct, very clear, and also like mentioning that you do actually have a budget and you're not just like looking for a free advertisement or whatever it might be. So yeah, I love that. That's great. And I think TikTok, you can definitely use the same type of script. On TikTok, there's a message button just to contact them, or sometimes they'll leave their email address as well. So that's usually the two ways you could reach out to them on TikTok. Yeah, so that's a good idea to, or a good like general script you could use for reaching out. So the last thing I wanted to finish on is just how to actually get those first sales with influencers if you don't have any budget. And it obviously isn't going to work for every influencer, but it's just an option to keep in mind, as it might be an option that some influencers would be okay with. So affiliate marketing. So a great option is just having some kind of an app. We're going to link an app in the chat that does allow you to set up some kind of an affiliate. But essentially, you're just asking if they would be okay with getting a percentage of your sales. So you're not going to be making as much of a profit on products, but maybe you say, okay, 50% of the sales that we get from you 50% of the sales that come directly from you, we'll send you that money and then we'll keep 50% kind of thing. So it's a great way to entice them to want to really push that content, because they know the more people that view and actually buy, they're going to generate more sales and content, or more sales too. So it might depend on the product you're selling, how well that influencer thinks they would be able to target their audience, and how many sales they think they could get. So yeah, that's definitely an option to explore. Like I said, you're going to be making a little bit less money on it, but just having that traffic and gaining that target audience, even because then if they loved your store as a customer, maybe they'll come back and buy future products. So just something to keep in mind if you have zero budget, but you want to try and get that traffic and get people coming to your store, affiliate marketing is definitely an option you can explore. Work on both, right? Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Sorry. I was going to say too, another option if you have a no budget or a very low budget, a kind of way not to trick the influencer, but to make them think it's really worth their while, but you don't have the budget to pay them specifically. What you can do is what I did when I was selling kids' clothes drop shipping. I would reach out to mom influencers and I would say, if you can pick out $300 worth of product from my store, my boutique, and I will send that to you, then that is actually only about 30 to 40, $50 worth of the actual product that I'm purchasing. So I'm only investing between 30 and $50 on this product that I'm sending to the customer, but I'm sending them $200 worth of clothes. So they think they're getting big a big payoff by getting all those clothes, and it creates a relationship between the two of you, to maybe in the future you can pay them $50 along with a set of products.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, that's such a great thing to mention. Because in that way they actually have the physical content in their hands. And especially if you're getting them to actually make the content, make videos or photos or posts or anything like that, they're going to need the product anyway. So I think that's a great way to kind of initiate, if you have that idea in mind of like, this account makes really beautiful photos or takes really beautiful content, I trust them to have that creative control. So that's a great way to do it, is you're saying, here's the free product, you can create the content as you want to, and then they feel like they're getting a good deal. And I love the idea too of saying, especially if you don't have a specific product in mind that you want to advertise, you just want to get engagement and get people to your store. So saying, here's, pick out $300 worth of product. Like, you're leaving it up to them, so they feel like they have that ability to be like, oh, okay, cool, I get to choose the items I want, So
Yeah.
I love that tip. That's awesome. So yeah, that's about it in terms of the differences between the two, how to find influencers, how to, start getting those sales, some different approaches you can take. We're going to link in the chat as well, like I mentioned earlier, 5 top products you could try selling on TikTok. So they're, interesting or unique products. So definitely check that out if you're curious or just, want some product ideas that you could explore. So yeah, we'll link that in the chat shortly here. And to wrap up the show, like I said, we always finish with the hot tip and the toolbox section. So to go into the hot tip, which is, some kind of a marketing tip or whatever it might be, my marketing or hot tip is just in terms of thinking about connecting with influencers and getting content and engagement and all of that. It's kind of separate from today's talk, but it definitely can apply. But one thing to keep in mind is podcasts or interviews or blog posts. And why I mention that is a great way to get another influencer or another person's following. Sorry, I'm like trying to think of the word. If you want to get their audience or target some other people's audiences that you think would connect really well with you in your store. If you have, for example, a podcast, you could get that influencer on your podcast as a guest. Or even if you don't have a podcast, but you do like a blog and have really great blog posts, ask if they'd want to be featured on a blog post on your store. The great thing about that is, first of all, you're getting content for your podcast or your store or your blog or whatever it might be, which is really great for SEO, just to have that content. Plus, if somebody maybe looks up that influencer's name on Google or whatever it might be, then your store might pop up because you've had that content and that like interview with them. But it's also a really great way to get in touch with their audience, because that influencer then might share on their social platforms like, hey, I was just on so-and-so's podcast today, or I was just featured on so-and-so's blog, and then, with a link to it, because people always love to talk about themselves and love to share content and things going on with them. So I just thought that was an interesting thing to keep in mind, is if you have an influencer you really want to work with, and they have a really great audience, that's the way to actually engage their audience, is, doing an interview or something with them, and featuring it on your store or podcast or whatever you might be, or you might have. But yeah, Mel, what's your hot tip before we hop into the next section?
Yeah, so mine is, aside from influencers, you want to make sure you're creating your own content as well, so that people have somewhere to find you at on Instagram and TikTok. And a great app for Instagram, so that you don't have to focus all your time on creating content and posting every day and liking comments and engaging. You can actually use an app called the Later app. So you can pre-schedule your posts. I believe it's for free, and they have a paid subscription as well. So you can schedule all your posts in advance every month. So every day you can have a post come out that will interact with your audience that you didn't post that day. You had set it up, let's say, on the first of every month. So you have 30 posts lined up. You can just set it and forget it, and you can have your own content put out without that being another thought in your mind every single day. So it's called the Later app.
Awesome. And I love that too, especially, I mean, it's also relevant if you're working with influencers and they're like, okay, I'm going to put my post out on this day. Then you can have a post ready, like lined up and ready, saying featured on so-and-so's page or whatever it might be. Like maybe you get your post ready and lined up too, mentioning that, you're featured on so-and-so's account or whatever it might be. So yeah, that's a really great app, and it's going to save you so much time. Because you are going to be wanting to post a lot of content to keep your engagement up. So just to save you that time, prep it all in advance, and definitely check out that app. In terms of toolbox, so this could be, like I mentioned, again, it could be an app or a tool or a resource or something like that. I just wanted to remind everyone that there is the Instagram sales channel on Shopify. So a lot of you probably have it already. But just as a reminder, you can connect the sales channel, Instagram sales channel, to your Shopify account, which allows you to make like viable products on your Instagram. So it's a great way to link, especially if your influencer is just linking to maybe your Instagram account or whatever it might be. Then as people scroll and look through, they can just click on the product and get linked right to it to purchase. So definitely don't forget to set that up and get that connected. And what's your toolbox tip?
Yeah, so there's a website called Socialblade. You can use that to find any influencers on any platform. So YouTube, TikTok, Facebook. It's got all the metrics for the influencers. So you can see kind of their growth. You can see their comments, their audience, how long they've been around. It really helps you understand if they are organic or not. So let's say it might show an influencer gets a ton of following and then no engagement, and it shows you actual graphs that you could look at to check. So if they have like a steady flow of up and down engagement and followings and stuff, then you know that that's a legit good influencer to work with.
Awesome. So it can kind of save you some of that time of trying to investigate yourself, going through, reports or just looking at their feed. Yeah, so definitely check out that app. That's awesome and super relevant to today's topic. Okay, cool. That's our show. So thank you everyone so much for joining us. And thank you for everyone who is in the chats. Hopefully we got all of your questions answered. And I can see our chatter sent you guys a lot of different comments and apps and links. So that's great. As always, let us know in the chat what you liked, what you didn't like, what we could do better. If you have any suggestions for future shows, we're always looking for new topics. And Mel will definitely be here to share a lot more great resources and help. So thank you, Mel, for being a part of the show. I'm not sure what we're going to chat about next week yet. Maybe something to do with how to get creative with your store, but we'll definitely be here next Monday and going over something fun. So yeah, thank you so much. And again, thank you, Mel, and we will see you next Monday. Bye.